It's time now for the Sports Objective Podcast. No talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast, our Pirate preview as we're previewing the big game on Saturday night. The first time the Pirates are going to Norfolk. Historical night, playing the Old Dominion Monarchs. With me right now, historical. Everybody knows and loves them. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle from LaGrange. How are you, sir?
That's JoJo Highway to you, sir. But I'm doing okay.
All right, JoJo, we'll get to you. Bubba Rosenbaum, well, how are you?
I'm doing well. Hope you guys are.
All right, and we'll get to that in a minute. Brennan Shapiro, how are you, man?
Doing great. How about y'all?
I know you're driving around. You're the big man on campus, BMOC right now.
Brennan, when you were a kid, did you ever read those books, Fudge and Super Fudge?
Feels like fourth grade nothing.
Did you read those?
I don't think so.
You guys
missed our
great show.
That's a
We
great
always
show.
do
That's what you call folks in the radio business an inside joke.
Yeah, and we always have a pre-show where we get together before we start recording to kind of like lighten the mood, and that was our pre-show.
Yeah, indeed.
Our rehearsals, believe it or not. Sometimes you don't realize we have rehearsals, but I guess that's obvious.
I don't know if I'd call them rehearsals, Dave, as much as it is we're just talking to each other.
Well, you're supposed to go with it.
Okay, all right, yeah, it's rehearsals.
Yeah, rehearsals. But anyway, sometimes we had good rehearsals, and sometimes we don't.
Exactly.
And then it's obvious if the show is good or not. But anyway.
This is our Old Dominion preview for everybody who's listening.
Yeah, Old Dominion preview. We got Bubba. Let's give our two guests we got today.
Yeah, we're going to be catching up with Ted Alexander, and then also, and he's the play-by-play voice of the Old Dominion Monarchs and has been since the inception of their football program back more than a decade ago. And then also Terrance Copper from 94.3 The Game will join us.
And obviously also Premier Sports Academy, where we talked to him about his great business and giving back.
And also from East Carolina football and the Dallas Cowboys.
That's right. And he was also on the New Orleans Saints and I think Ravens too. But anyway, when we talked to him, we got to pray for my Washington Redskins. They're 0-3. And a power rating, gentlemen, get this. I saw today. It's so depressing right now for my pro football life right now. At the out of 32 teams, my team ranks 30th out of 32. So at least we're not last, dead last, but we're pretty on close.
Yeah.
So at least
who is 31 and 32?
And there was Miami Dolphins, which we get ready to play, and so I think in a week or two, so we'll have a chance to somebody's got to win. And I was trying to think the other team, maybe the Jets.
Okay.
They're way down there as well. So anyway, we'll get
That's
to
enough NFL talk.
The good news, I know, I was getting ready to say, at least what I was getting at is at least with my college football team, we know that our program is headed in the right direction, unlike my professional team. So at least I can have something to enjoy, and that's on Saturdays or Thursdays whenever we play the damn games now. And on Thursdays, we got the Temple game after this one on Thursday night. But right now, let's focus on Old Dominion. They actually have a really good program. In fact, for people that don't know, in that area code, the 757, the Tidewater area has a lot of great talent, guys. I mean, you guys know that, but for people that don't know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a fertile area. It's always recruited heavily by ACC schools, et cetera. So, Old Dominion's getting talent from there, and then brought in a ton of talent. I've never seen so many junior college and grad transfers on an FBS program in my life. I think Houston said there's 45 new players, counting freshmen, on that team. Which that's unheard of. That's insane. So you can't look at last year's roster and the way we matched up with them. It literally has nothing to do with this year. I mean, it's insane. Have you ever seen that?
No.
That many?
No, and 17 JUCOs, I believe, is what I heard. No, I definitely have not seen that.
Well, you know that the main thing.
Hey, Brennan, did you bring? Yeah, you did. Okay, I was trying to remember if you introduced Brennan.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Brennan, bring you in. I know that you got to go. We'll talk to you a little bit because I know that you got to go to the press conference for the players after practice. Actually, not the players, the coordinators and the coach, Coach Houston. What did you think about the win on Saturday night? Not obviously the score we wanted, but a win is a win. And get your thoughts about this week.
Honestly, I'm just happy we won. We needed a win. Had we lost that game, it would be tough for the confidence of the team, and the fan base would, I think, really be restless. But I hope our offense can kind of get it together and start clicking. I feel like they haven't really found a rhythm yet. A little worried about that. I think our defense played a lot better in this game than against Navy, obviously. But I think we're heading in the right direction. I just think it's going to be a tough game coming up this weekend.
No, it will be. I mean,
yeah.
I think the way Old Dominion's been playing defense, Blackwell knows our personnel. I think the way our offense has performed so poorly, I think we'll be and it's on the road. It's in Norfolk.
That's the key right there.
I think we'll be lucky to go up there and get a win. I think we can. I definitely think this is a game we can win, but it's going to take our best offensive performance of the year, and maybe we'll get that. I mean, at some point we're going to have our best offensive performance of the year, and you can take that Gardner-Webb game and throw it out.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell you guys an interesting stat that Drew pointed out today on Pirates Cove, our group on Facebook. Everybody needs to go join it, by the way. But we have just 9 players from the 2017 signing class remaining on the team.
Wow.
We signed 21 players in 2017, only 9 remain. So that's kind of insane. And the attrition on this program, you can go all the way back to Ruff's last year.
Yep.
The attrition on this program over the last several years has just been terrible. So if you want to look at it right now while we're struggling, that's it. When you have players constantly leaving your program, right, and then you look at Coach Houston didn't try to microwave it. He only brought in one guy from the transfer portal this year. So if you want to look at why we're struggling and question, okay, do we have talent? No, we don't. When you have players leaving every year, I mean, it's really kind of scary when you look at how many players have left our program over the last 3 to 4 years.
One point to be made real quick, guys, so looking at the schedule. I was thinking about this today. Look at this. Just imagine this. I have no life, but I just figured this out. For the first 6 games, first half of the year, we have an away game with NC State. You have the home game, Gardner-Webb, away game, Navy, and you have the home game with William and Mary, and Old Dominion is away, and then you have home with Temple. So if you go by losing on the road, that means we lose this week and we win next week. We'll see how that works out. We're 3-3. Adding to your point, Kyle, one of the things that concerns me with this year is I was happy to have Reed Herring as a backup to sign Howell, and as we were recording this on Wednesday afternoon, they left the program yesterday.
Yeah, and leaving this program right now is Brendan Shapiro. Brendan's sitting out to the press conference. Brendan, you want to say goodbye to everybody listening before you go?
Yeah, goodbye.
Nothing but charisma, baby.
All right. Pinehurst,
a professional exit there for Brendan Shapiro.
Yes.
Yeah. Go back to Pinehurst.
All right, Brendan. Go record.
Man. Thanks for your help. All right, so Brendan Shapiro, our correspondent. We'll put that up on by the time you hear this podcast. It'll already be out, but we always put it on SoundCloud for the practice report.
And as you were saying, Dave, I've seen how and Reed Aaron left the program, as we'll talk about. We talk about that quite a bit with Terrance Copper. So here later in the podcast you'll hear that. But I get Reed more than I do Howell. I really do. I think Reed will at least an FCS program. He's had enough success at quarterback. Yeah. There will at least be an FCS program that's interested in him. I kind of took what Coach Houston said last night as being directed at Haseen Howell, and maybe I shouldn't try to lead into what he said beyond more than what he said. But he mentioned how of all the players that entered the transfer portal in the NCAA last year, only 3% of them were picked up. So the other 97% of players didn't get picked up by anybody.
So they go from being on a team with a chance to play to nothing.
And having your scholarship paid for. So Haseen Howell, I think, took a gamble. A running back who hadn't had a lot of success, 1 year of eligibility left. I mean, hopefully he'll get picked up by somebody, even if it isn't like an FCS. But I hope he didn't. I really don't understand his decision. It makes no sense to me, because did he think he's suddenly going to become an NFL talent? I mean, it's not like he wasn't contributing. It's not like he wasn't getting to get on the field. I just don't understand why he left the program. I get it with Reed. I totally get you. If you're only going to play one quarterback and Reed's not even getting in the game in meaningful situations when Holton really hasn't performed that well.
And then next year, you have Mason Garcia coming in.
Correct.
And then you have Brian Gagg, who a lot of people know hoist the colors. I think sometimes these kids, Reed could easily be playing Saturday night. I mean, one hit, Holton's out of the game. Right. So, I mean, I think it's short-sighted, but I get it. I don't get a scene how. Bubba, what does it make any sense to you?
As far as who's on how, I think it's just obviously the timing is very apparent why he's doing it, because otherwise his eligibility would be exhausted, because this is going to be game 5. But otherwise, I'm sure, agree or disagree with it, I'm sure he's just looking for a role being a feature back somewhere where he's getting and I know he's gotten a fair share of the workload this year, but I'm sure he's just looking for more touches and a bigger opportunity to shine. As far as Reed Herring is concerned, the biggest thing with Reed is just the timing of it, because, like you said, stick it out for the year, and then who knows, he may have that opportunity, and then when that opportunity arises, he shines, and then the rest will be history potentially. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you're right with Reed. Why not wait till December? I mean, you don't have to do it now. Yeah, I mean, I don't. But with Howell, see, I still don't get it, Bubba, because you say he wants an opportunity to shine. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. I mean, like I said, he's not an NFL back. That's not going to change. I mean, I don't get it. I think
what Coach said too is, to add to your point earlier, Kyle. I think what it is, not with Reed, I think you're right about another point he made in the press conference.
People in their ear.
The what?
People in their ear, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, basically what they're doing is, there are people, for example, Bubba and I have kids. Now, we think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, okay? So we're going to say, yeah, you made a great jump shot, you're the greatest thing ever, blah, blah, blah. Well, as a parent, that's
wait
okay.
A minute, he didn't say that.
What? No, I'm just saying that we think our kids are great, and in our mind we maybe not be objective because we love our kids and we're supporting our kids at ball games, and you're pumping them up. But there are people that are pumping these kids up that you should be getting more playing time. You should be blah, and on and on and on.
Right.
And then they leave, and then they realize the reality is you had it made at East Carolina or whatever school.
Yeah. But am I wrong? Did he start Saturday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he suck?
I didn't think he did, no.
I did, and the other backs were better. Well, then do better. If you want more playing time.
No, I'm talking about they had it, and another thing is there's enough talent in running back room that's there, that you have Penix, who's out.
Right.
You have got other guys that are talented, and if it's not your night and you give another guy and he has the hot hand, you go with that guy.
And I think he was trusted with the ball. One thing he didn't do was fumble. I think he would have continued to got carries. If he wants more playing time, he wants to be the featured back, then do better than the other back. I mean, I just don't. I don't get it. I mean, I guess maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe he's saying, well, these guys are more talented than I am or fit better in this offense, so I'm just especially when Penix comes back, I'm going to be the fourth man on the depth chart.
Yep.
I need to go somewhere else. But I mean,
but there may not be anywhere else. That's the point.
Yeah, I think it's short-sighted on his part. I don't understand it, and I'll get off that horse now.
All right, we're glad you're off the horse, and we'll take that horse back to the stable and come back to us. Bubba, what did you think overall? Do you think one question I have for both of you, so I'll start with Bubba while Kyle takes the horse back to the stable. Do you think there's any more players to leave?
Well, not now, Dave. We're going into week 5, so
they're going to wait.
They can't. I think I think this is the point where they can transfer without losing that year of eligibility. I didn't even realize that was a rule. When did that rule change? That's not how it
That's
used
what I was
to be.
telling you. That's what I was telling you about. Yeah, that's what I was telling you about. A lot of these guys Lincoln Riley's been successful in getting these guys that they had.
Yeah, well, I know out of the transfer portal, I get that, but I didn't know about the 4-game thing. Besides with red shirts and I guess with how Bubba, what you said earlier in text is he had never redshirted, so he can still redshirt. So that's why he's doing it before 4 games is up. Is that correct? I guess Bubba's not with us.
I will pray for Bubba that he gets a new cell phone or something. I don't know, but better coverage, maybe a different.
I tell you what, why don't we go to Copp and then come back and maybe Bubba will be with us.
Okay, let's go to Terrance Copper and let's go to that interview right now. Well, always one of the best things about the fall is football season, and of course, Kyle, one of our favorites, he's back on with us, Terrance Copper. T-Cop, how are you, man?
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm doing good.
Well, I just have to ask you a question here, and I need your help before we start talking about Pirate football. I need some therapy. I don't know what's going on with my Redskins. I'm just depressed right now. So thank God for our Pirates winning because it's going to be a long road. I'm having a hard time.
Cowboy, he probably ain't going to help you too much.
I know. I just pro football. He's an expert at pro football as well. I'm having a real hard time today.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, man. The Redskins, they might have a terrible season this year. I can agree with you on that one.
I heard a stat today. Bubba's going to be proud of me. On the last 18 Monday night games for the Redskins, they're 1-17, Terrance.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I heard it on the Dan Patrick show today on 94.3 The Game.
Wow. How many years that dates back again? What you say again?
It's about 18, maybe. They play about once or twice a year, so it's a good number of years. I think maybe 15 years. I don't know. So a good while. I'll have to look that up. But see, I did my homework on the stat, and then I needed to see how long it's been. But it's been too long. It's been too long. Let's talk about better news. Let's talk about the Pirates. And while we're recording this on Tuesday night, we got some. I'm Debbie Downer. Some bad news as far as Reed Herring leaving the program, and understand Hassan Howell is leaving the program as well. I just want to get your thoughts because you're a player. You played at the highest level. What do you think is going on? I know you don't know in their minds because you're not them, but what do you think that they're thinking?
You know what? I think, but when it comes to Reed, I think you just want to go a place because honestly, Reed can play ball. He can play the quarterback position. So I think that he feels like he can get a better opportunity and be put in a bigger role, at a different school. Like I said, I hate the fact he's transferring because I really feel like, we are one play away from him having to start. And of course you don't wish anything bad on our starter because, he deserves to be there. But you need a good backup. And with Reed transferring, that's a huge blow to the program, I think that the football program understands that. I think they know that. But with that being said, it's next man up. We got to keep rolling.
It's the next man up, right, Terrance?
That's right. Next man up.
Yeah. And the next man up is who is our quarterback now? One of the true freshmen.
Yeah, I would say Brian Gagg.
Gagg. Mm-hmm. So Gagg was third string. He'll move up to second string now, and you never know. He could find himself in the game on Saturday. Who knows? But you certainly hope the hell not.
Yeah.
Because he's so young and he's still learning the scheme and he's still learning about college. And I wanted to ask you this question, Terrance, because, again, you played at all levels. How fast is the game as far as a guy that's coming in like a Gag that's coming in as a freshman? How much faster is the game from high school to college?
Oh, a lot faster. And a lot of the reason is, and it's the same thing when it goes from college to pros, the game gets faster because when you're in high school, you really don't watch a lot of film in high school. I mean, you may watch a little bit of film, but you don't really get real too detailed in it. And you only got a couple of hours after school to actually practice. But once you get in college, yeah, of course the guys get faster because you're playing from the best guys that was in high school and they're in college. But what really makes the game much faster is the fact that you're watching film. And everybody is out there reacting quicker. So once they see their keys, they're reacting quicker. So that's part of the reason why the game is faster, not just because the guys are faster, physically faster, but they're making faster decisions. Because once they read their keys, they're jumping it. And it's the same thing when they get to the pros. The reason why it gets faster then because you got more time to watch film. You're studying a lot more. You're paying a lot more attention to detail. And, yes, the guys are faster physically, but also once we see our keys, that's our read, we're jumping it right now. Or we're not taking false steps. We're getting taught not to take false steps when we're moving. So everything just comes to play when it comes to just film study and paying attention to details on your movement.
Yeah, so
that really makes it faster.
Yeah, so speculating if Gag had to come in Saturday, he had only been repping as a third string, so this is his first day getting even second string reps. So you talk about something coming at him fast. Oh, my goodness, I can't imagine if he were to have to come in against ODU. Talking about other transfer, Terrance, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about Haseen Howell. That would really surprise me. I know it looks like after this past weekend with the performance of Trace Christian and Tay Williams, it looked like, he may have taken a step down on the depth chart, but he was getting playing time. And running back, you're going to play multiple backs, and he's a senior. So that really surprised me that he's transferred.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Has he already graduated?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. And, I should know this better. Maybe you do. And it may have changed since you were playing, but he's a senior. And if he hasn't graduated, I hear a lot of people saying, well, you need to do it before game 4. Well, I get that with the redshirt rule, but I think he had already been redshirted. So, I mean, I don't understand how he could even transfer and have another year of eligibility to play.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but hopefully if he's transferring now, I say almost, but the season has already begun. So hopefully if he's transferring now, he knows something that we don't know. Maybe he'll get an extra year. I have no idea, but it shocked me as well. And put myself in his shoes, like I said, I don't want to speak out of turn, but if I was him, in my mindset, the reason why I'm thinking that he's transferring is because, for one, you still got Penix, who, once he gets healthy, he's still going to be the starter. He's coming back to start. And then you got these freshmen that came up, and they're playing well from what I've seen this last game. They came out and they really did a great job. So he's splitting even more playing time with these guys, because even if he's starting over them, his playing time is still going to start getting cut because you still want to get these freshmen in there.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So I think he wants a bigger role at a different school. And you hate that. You hate when guys transfer from the program. But again, like we said before, next man up. You got to keep moving.
Terrance, I was just thinking about Kyle and Terrance. I was just thinking about, is it possible? Can't you transfer if you go level down, if you go Division II or something like that, where you could? Can't you start? You don't have to worry about sitting out a year.
But again, he's a senior. I mean,
no, I know. I didn't know if he could.
He can't start playing middle of the year. He can't just go. To my knowledge, unless I'm just totally wrong, he can't go start playing somewhere else next week. It's not the pro.
No, that's what I was wondering. I don't think so. I'm just trying to think out of the box.
Yeah, I have no idea on that one. No,
it's not something we do.
But even if you could play mid-season, once he gets there, he's still going to take about a week or two to learn the playbook. He's still got to learn it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be November before you'd be able to get in good stride.
Now, you are right in general, Dave. Like, you know, Reed, for example, if he's not set to graduate in December, so let's say he's not on pace to graduate in December, and so he wouldn't be considered a grad transfer. So if he were to transfer to another FBS school, he would have to sit out a year. But if he were to transfer to an FCS school, he'd be able to play next year immediately. But that's the difference between him and Haseen Howell. He's a junior and Howell's a senior.
Right, and that's something that very frustrating. I want to ask you, Terrance, as far as because you're expert at not only football but especially the wide receiver position. I know that it's something that when everybody was talking about not having number 88 on the field this year, do you think there's guys what guys are you looking out for first, and how can we get it seems like there's just a disconnect between Holton being a quarterback and the wide receivers. Am I wrong on that?
You know what? It seems to me that when I'm watching that, I would think that, you know, it's a cross between your O-line, your quarterback, and your receivers. I think the reason why the pass game is not as complete as we want it to be, I think it's overall everybody. It's not really just one position group that you can point the finger at. Oh, it's the quarterback position. Or it's the receiver position. Or it's the O-line. I think it's just a bunch of stuff from every position that's going on. But I do feel like receivers that we should be watching for, that I'm definitely watching for now is CJ from D.H. Conley. This last game, he caught a few passes, got some run after the catch. One thing about him, he's a big old receiver, and I feel like he's gaining confidence as a receiver. The more catches he gets, the more playing time he gets, the more comfortable he's going to get playing. How
talented do you think we are at receiver? I mean, you mentioned CJ, and you know he's a freshman, and I think as he develops, he is a talent, and will just get better. But overall, receiving core, how talented do you think we are at receiver?
Truthfully, I feel like we got a good group of receivers, but they're all possession receivers. Now, when I say possession receivers, not knocking any of them, but I just don't see that receiver that is going to be that deep threat or that guy we can get the ball to and he can break a tackle and he's gone. You know, I don't really see that receiver, you know, that we have. Now, I tell you who I do like, and he hasn't played a lot, but once he got in a few times, I want to see more of him. What's the transfer from UCLA?
Man.
Tocho.
Yeah, Audi. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing in practice, but I would love to see him a little bit more and see him get more involved in the offense. And even when it comes to not going down the field, one thing about playing the receiver position, if I'm playing wide receiver and we're not attempting to throw deep balls, the defensive back automatically knows. They don't watch film on us. We don't play 3 or 4 games already. They already watch film on us. They see that we don't throw the ball down the field a lot. So now what these defensive backs are doing, they're not even scared of us going by them anymore. They're going to sit on all our routes because, you know, we don't go deep a lot. You know, and if we do go deep, we don't throw them as much. You know, so that makes it even harder on the receivers as well. And I'm not taking the receivers off the hook because I think we need to do a better job of getting separation once we get down the field. But I just feel like it's a lot of things that we need to work on as a unit, as a total offensive unit, O-line, quarterback position, and receivers. And especially with this new offense we have now, it's about time we start really trying to figure it out and each week just getting better and better and better. And maybe start taking some shots down the field. But again, it all depends on what the offensive coordinator sees, what Holton sees, or are we getting open down the field? You know, so it's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, sometimes I think, Terrance, I don't know if you agree or disagree. Sometimes I think you just got to go deep every once in a while. I think Logan used to call it checking the oil. Just throw one up, on third down. Sometimes throw one up, throw a jump ball to the end zone and see what happens. Just to let them know it's there.
Yes, you got to keep those defensive backs honest. I definitely agree with you on that. We got to go deep, even if we don't complete it. We got to show that, listen, we can go deep on you. We will go deep on you, just so they can respect it. I don't think they respect our deep ball game right now. I think a lot of DBs, they don't fear it. They don't fear it. We don't throw a lot of it. So.
Well, Terrance, I know you're not on the defensive side of the ball, but the surprise to me is I love defense. I've been pleasantly surprised. I'm usually harder on the defense than I am on the offense, but I have to say that I think our defense overall has played a lot better than I anticipated. Yes.
Our defense is really keeping us in the game when it comes to the teams that we are playing. When our offense is struggling, which we really haven't put a consistent game together offensively besides the Gardner-Webb game, but our defense has played well at times. I think one thing that hinders our defense, we give up a lot of explosion plays. Sometimes, you don't really see offenses just nickel and diamonds all the way down the field, but they give up the explosion play. They give up a big run, or they give up a big pass to set up a touchdown or a score, something like that. So that's why I want to see our defense kind of limit the explosion plays that the offense gets.
Yeah, I think for me personally, when I look at the defensive side of the ball, particularly our front seven, and the DBs too, we're young, and I don't think we're very talented on that side of the ball. So when I look at, they're always in position to make a play. The coaches have them where they need to be. They tackle fairly well. To me, I think, with the exception of maybe that Navy game, not knowing how to defend the triple option, I think the defense has done as well as they could.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I love the defensive coordinator calls. One thing he does, he runs his defense like a NFL defense. And I'm just noticing because he brings so much pressure from the secondary. Like he'll send a corner blitz, he'll send a nickel blitz. Those are stuff that you see in the NFL a lot. You don't really see it too much in college, but the fact that I'm seeing it reminds me of an NFL defense when I'm watching these guys play defense. So I love the schemes that they're running.
Yeah, Coach Trott has some NFL background.
Yeah, I love what they're running. Now, are we talented enough, just overall talented enough to get it done? I don't know. But I can say the defense is giving all they can give. And, of course, they got to make corrections and stuff as well. But the defense, they're not doing too bad of a job. We just got to eliminate the explosion plays that other teams are getting.
If we can find a way to, Terrance, you bring up a great point about keeping them and the Pirates in the game. If there's any way that we can score more points, then we can go back to having that conversation of going to a bowl. I think some people are unfortunately jumping off the ship, and you know how being on a team with different coaches and different coordinators, and if it's like position coaches or whatever, some of these guys have had, 3-4 defensive coordinators, a few different D-line coaches. Some of these guys, some of the guys, as Coach Shank,
and now they're going to go play their old defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. That's right. This week. Speaking of which, let's talk about the game. What do you think about Old Dominion? They hung really well with Virginia Tech and UVA with Virginia, up big on Virginia, and Virginia came back in to win that game. But I'll tell you what, the defense of speaking of David Blackwell, they've been very stingy.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think that game scares me. I have East Carolina winning that game, but we got a dogfight in my hands because, truthfully, looking at the William & Mary game, and one thing about the NFL, I like comparing a lot of stuff to the NFL. We don't care how we win in the NFL. We just want to win. We can correct all the other stuff the next day when we watch film on stuff we need to fix. But at the end of the day, we don't care if it's an ugly win We just want to win the game, and we could fix the rest of stuff later. You know, and so when I look at that William & Mary game that we played, that game was a lot closer than what the score even said, the William & Mary game.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Houston kind of he hit him a little bit. We pulled it out. And I think it's going to be the same thing we're going to have to do with Old Dominion game. We're going to have some staying power. We're going to have to be able to fight with this team the entire game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout on either side. But I feel like we can edge this team, but we're going to have to fight, and we're going to have to be consistently doing the right things on all three phases. We cannot give up a long punt return to set up a scoring position, because that can change momentum. We need to cover our kicks. We need to take every phase of the game seriously, especially when it comes to this game, because this team is a tough team, and they actually scare me. But I still feel like we can get this win.
Yeah, it's an interesting line if you look at Vegas. We opened as a 1.5-point favorite. It quickly flipped to Old Dominion being a 3-point favorite, and it's been going between Old Dominion being a 1 to 2-point favorite over the last 24 hours. So a lot of action on that game going both ways. Last I checked, Old Dominion was a 2-point favorite. So for what that's worth, I always find Vegas lines interesting. Another thing interesting about ODU, they got an enormous amount of junior college players and graduate transfers. Coach Houston said something to the effect of they have, counting freshmen, grad transfers, and JUCOs, 45 new players on their roster this year.
Wow. From
last year. I've never heard anything like that. It's insanity. I know they brought in 14 junior college players this signing class. So it is microwave time in Norfolk. I think Coach Wilder is kind of feeling a little bit of hot seat pressure there. And he's microwaving that thing, and they're a very talented team. Their defense, Coach Flacco's got a lot of talent to work with on defense. Their offense has struggled. They scored 17 against Virginia Tech, 17 against Virginia, and I think 24 against Norfolk State. So their offense hasn't been stellar, but their defense has been really good. It has the potential. We played Old Dominion twice back in 2013. They had a really good quarterback. It was Shane Carden. I cannot remember ODU's quarterback, but he was really good. And high-scoring game, I think we won it something like 55-42. And then last year in Greenville, it was we won it by what was it, 3 points, 2 points?
It was really close, yeah.
In the 30s, something like 35-32. I wouldn't be surprised if this weekend is 21-17. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I agree with you all the way. And I get the Vegas spread. I get it. We're playing at Old Dominion. Defensively, they played these Virginia Tech. They played not Virginia Tech, but Virginia. They played them very hard defensively. They played a good game defensively. And we're struggling offensively.
Yep.
So just because we're playing at Old Dominion, I see why we're not favorites.
Yeah.
I can see it.
And we haven't won. And you guys remember, too, we haven't won a road game in literally September 2017 when they moved up that Connecticut game is the last time we won a road game, right? I mean, we haven't won a road game in 2 years. So if you look at –
Oh, my gracious. I did not know that.
Yeah, so I think that's another reason. And I'll tell you, you guys –
You want to hear something even scarier?
What's
Besides that Connecticut win, the only time we won a road game dating back to 2015 was at UCF in November of 2015. So besides that one win at Connecticut 2 years ago, we're literally going back to 2015, going back to November 2015.
Wow.
We've had one road win.
Wow.
That's scary. And you guys brought up what the talent-wise. We looked at NC State. We all agree that there was more talent there. Then we come home, Gardner-Webb. We had way more talent than Gardner-Webb. Then we go on the road. I think there was talent, but also I think experience and talent was the big difference in the triple option for Navy. You come home, you definitely have more talent than William & Mary. You look at this ODU team, would you guys think this is probably as far as matchups, this is probably the most evenly matchup game we played so far this season?
Yeah, it's I think just from a pure talent standpoint, because of the amount of JUCOs and grad transfers, you could argue ODU could be a hair more talented than us. But they also, 45 new players, Terrance, means they haven't been playing together. So might not be much chemistry on that team if things do start to go against them.
Yeah. I think we're talent-wise, we're about even. I think I'm not going to rank us. I'm never going to rank ECU below Old Dominion in anything. So I feel like
I don't blame you.
We're more talented than Old Dominion. I feel like I said, with a lot of the JUCO transfers and different things like that, it does bump their skill set up a little bit higher than what they usually would have. But I still think we're more talented than them. I think we should win this game. We should win it. I'm not going to say we're going to win it convincingly, but I think we'll pull it out.
And that's one thing that, like you were talking about, Terrance, is that I think that you made a very good point, too, about the wins. In the NFL, you don't care how you win as long as you win. I think we got very spoiled with the air raid and a lot of big – and who doesn't like offense? I mean, we love offense and video game numbers and all that stuff. You hear that all the time. But as long as we win the game, kind of like I was talking about, even though it was a different level of competition – last week, that kind of reminded me of that Liberty Bowl win in '95 where Chad Holcomb makes all those field goals.
Yeah.
And it was a defensive struggle. We win the game. Hey, we still won the Liberty Bowl, didn't we? So,
yep.
and here we are. We needed that win against last week with William and Mary. And now when you have ODU, you pull that off. And then we come home and that Temple team is, I guess you don't know which Temple team is going to show up.
No, you really don't.
And so, I mean, we have a chance. Here's another stat, isn't it? 5 straight times we've lost to Temple, so we owe them too. So even the change arguments. So anyway, Terrance, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about your business too, the Performance Sports Academy. I know in Winterville you're doing a lot of great things. I'm on your Facebook page and see all the stuff you're doing. Really proud. I wish we were a lot closer. My son is growing up and getting into every sport possible, including tiddlywinks, I think.
I appreciate it. So at the Performance Sports Academy, we do training for kids age 7 on up, and 7 on up to the pros. We train for speed and agility, strength training, football training, position-specific drills. We do baseball training. We do basketball training. We have basketball leagues. We do summer basketball leagues. We do travel basketball. We have travel baseball. So anything that you want to do as a child, we have soccer. We train for soccer also. We do 7-on-7 football leagues. So anything that you would like to do as a child, we offer those things. And like I said, we're just blessed to be able to give back to the community. We're blessed to be able to share our knowledge, and a lot of the guys that works there has played Division I football or basketball or baseball, or even pro. So the knowledge that we learn along the way, we're just trying to give that back to the youth and to inspire them to do the right things in the community and also by God also.
No doubt about it. I have a special project for you. How about can you get Kyle in shape where he can play some ball?
Oh my God! I tell you, I don't. Terrance mentioned God. He didn't say he was a miracle worker, David.
I'm trying. Kyle has got a lot of. He's got a lot of great abilities, including coaching. He says he's just too lazy to do it, but he would make a great coach, Terrance. But that's a whole nother show, as they say.
Hey, Terrance, did you ever think this time last year that you and I would be doing a podcast together and doing it so civilly?
You know what? The crazy thing about it, one thing about it, Kyle is very passionate about his art, and we had our little spat on air before, but I knew where it came from.
Yeah.
We understood each other, and I think both sides, we understood where it all came from. And we were just passionate about East Carolina football, In
the end, we both want the same thing.
Exactly. And we all we're a passionate fan base, and and you expect stuff like that sometimes, and and it is what it is. But we definitely moved past that, and
yes,
and it's great. Clay. Yeah.
It's a brand new day, and that's what's great is that when you have a new season, we can leave those seasons in the record books and not. We try really hard not to rehash things and all that because that does us really no good. And certainly we're going to keep on praying that hopefully more players don't transfer, and we'll keep that up. And I'm going to pray for my Redskins, and I need a lot of prayer there. I'm going to stay in church 24 hours a day for the next week or so. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, Terrance, man, thank you so much. I know that you've been busy, you've been kind to come on, and I just looked at how long we've been talking to you. So I enjoyed talking to you, and obviously Kyle and I love to talk. So thanks, man. I appreciate you so much, and hopefully you won't be a stranger. Come back on with us.
Yes, sir, fellas. I appreciate y'all having me on. I really enjoyed it. Y'all do a great job. And also, I actually got the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year.
There you go.
I have no opinion on that. That's one thing. I get so wrapped up in college football on Saturday. By the time Sunday gets here, I need a break.
Well, I can definitely tell you, you may not be on something. They're 3-0 versus my Skins are 0-3. So no Super Bowl for us. So I definitely can know that. So anyway, Terrance, buddy, appreciate you, and we'll be in touch soon. And looking forward to hearing you on pregame and postgame on coming up on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Again, I appreciate it, fellas, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Terrance Copper, what a great interview with him. Appreciate him. Premier Sports Academy folks, Google that, like him on Facebook. Really great guy, and I'm glad to see that y'all get it. What people didn't see because it's a podcast, Terrance Copper and Kyle had a huge hug there, a big bear hug. It was really nice. Y'all missed that. So they made up from last year. Last year. So as we were just talking about, so
that's right. No, and there's a good guy. We had,
and you're a good guy. So
yeah, sometimes. Well, we had a disagreement last year, and I was very vocal about my opinion on the previous coaching staff and the previous administration, and I think he was a bit more supportive of them, and so that's over with now. We're all on the same page, and
yep.
He was great on the show last night, or when we recorded that, and so nothing but respect for Terrance Copper as a man, and look forward to continue to work with him on 94.3 on the postgame show. So.
All right, let's go now. This is great stuff. Let's go now to a great guy, and of course I'm talking about Ted Alexander, our new friend, who is the play-by-play voice of the Old Dominion Monarchs. And Kyle, let's go ahead and go to that interview right now. Well, Bubba, it's another big game, obviously, for both the Monarchs and the Pirates, right?
Yeah, very excited about this weekend's matchup between the Pirates and the Monarchs, and now to get the Old Dominion perspective, I'm very excited to have with us the one and only play-by-play voice for ODU football, Ted Alexander. Ted, welcome into the show.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. We'll have you on to talk about the big game on Saturday night. I know you guys have got to be excited to have the Pirates in Norfolk.
Yeah, first time in the three meetings between these two oh-so-close FBS rivals that we've had you here in Hampton Roads, and we get to show a nice new home for you, Cornblow Field at SC Ballard Stadium. We opened it on the 31st of August against Norfolk State, but we've been working on it ever since to sort of cleaning up some of the kinks here and there. We expect to have a lot of fun this Saturday.
Now, is this your would you guys, I haven't looked at your non-conference schedule, would you guys consider this your marquee home game for this year in terms of non-conference opponents?
Oh, no doubt about it. You've got Norfolk State and the Pirates at home, and Virginia Tech and Virginia on the road. Really, almost a perfect non-conference schedule for Old Dominion this year. You've got proximity and opportunity for our fans to get to the road games, and of course, you've got a couple of big name games here in Norfolk.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking a look at this matchup, this is one, obviously the Monarchs are 1-2, but you've been very competitive in two road matchups with Virginia Tech and UVA. That Virginia Tech ball game, you were within a touchdown early in the fourth quarter, and UVA, you led going into the fourth quarter after having led as much as 17 earlier in that ball game. So talk a little bit about the first three games and just where you see the Monarchs.
Well, I think the headline coming out of the first three games is that the defense is is a big boy defense and has played really well, especially on the road. David Blackwell, you folks are very familiar with him down there in Greenville in Pirate Nation. He's the new defensive coordinator, and he's got the guys flying the ball, and they aren't missing nearly as many tackles. We credit that to coaching and great athletes and the effort they've put in the weight room with a new strength and conditioning guy, Dwight Golf. That's the first thing you'll notice. Second thing you'll notice is a lot of unfamiliar names when it comes to those that are going to show up in the scorebook for Old Dominion, from their starting quarterback to those that are getting the bulk of the receptions to those that are making the plays on defense. Not a lot of guys that have made headlines for Old Dominion before are doing just that. So it's a new group, and it's exciting to watch. It's a huge game this Saturday for both teams. We know that going in. We've never beaten ECU, and it'll be a tough test Saturday.
You mentioned Coach Blackwell, and of course he was here last year as defensive coordinator for one season. Started off really well last year with our defense. He was able to get a lot of pressure, blitzing the ends quite a bit. I don't know if he's doing the same thing up there or not. Then the season just kind of fell apart under Coach Montgomery. We all liked Coach Blackwell. We thought it was a shame that he didn't come here earlier with Coach Montgomery. Things may have maybe been a little different. So I take it you guys are pleased with him so far by your comments?
Oh, no doubt about it. You know, the thing about when you see assistant coaches and you see their resumes and you see their journey, oftentimes you say, oh, they've been only this place for 1 year, for a couple of years, or why are they bouncing around all over the place? A lot of times they have absolutely no control over what happens to their head coach or the staff or what type of circumstances they're faced with. So you have to take each and every coach that you see on your campus with their own specifics. How are they going to do here at Old Dominion with this scheme, with this head coach, with these players? And we've seen so far from David Blackwell nothing but good things, and the vibe that he's brought with his scheme and the way he wants to attack has really seeped down to his players, and they've caught on and bought in.
And this defense is one that is allowing just over 300 yards per game, and on the ground allowing less than 90 yards per game, just 2.7 yards per carry. And against UVA last weekend, you held the Cavs, who were number 21 in the nation, moved up to number 18 this week. The Cavs only had 244 total yards and less than 70 yards rushing, 1 for 11, on third down. So those numbers really jumped off the page. I think it was the top defensive effort against a top 25 opponent all last weekend.
Well, before the game against Virginia last Saturday, the Monarchs were allowing 54% conversion rates on third down. And to hold Virginia to 1 for 11 was huge. The guys are getting better. What also fans sometimes don't understand is how difficult it is to get new players, new coaches, and a new scheme all to work from day one. It's a work in progress. I use the analogy all the time about you're putting together a stew, and you can't just throw the onion in and expect the onion to have its effect right off the bat. It has to seep in there for a while to make the stew taste its best. And so these are works in progress, and this work is getting better with each week.
Yeah, and just one more comment on Coach Blackwell, just something I was thinking about yesterday and want to get your thoughts on it. You know, obviously he's going to be very familiar with our personnel, but on the flip side, we're going to have a lot of extra film on him and know how he likes to coach defense. Obviously, we have not only game film, but practice film from last year. Do you think one's an advantage over the other, us being familiar with his coaching style or him being familiar with these players?
Not being the football expert that you guys probably are, I look at it this way. I think those two things will cancel each other out, and it comes down to which team can execute better. I mean, we can talk all about the coaching and the scheme, et cetera. If it's not executed correctly, all kinds of things can happen. And I think it'll be which team executes better. And I think most games come down to that. Of course, there's familiarity on both sides, and that'll give some insight and sort of help speed up the learning process from both sides. But I think at the end of the day, bottom line is you've got to execute.
No, you're right. One thing I noticed, I was looking at my Phil Steele back in the summer and just reading about our opponents this coming year, and I noticed you guys brought in an abnormal amount of junior college players. How were they doing early on with their contributing to you guys this year?
Again, going so far so good. I mean, you look at a lot of the guys that have been brought in, and it's just they're impact guys. You know, whether it be a Stone Smarts, who's done wonderfully as the quarterback for Old Dominion. And you look at guys like Eric Kuhlman, Chris Cunningham, who've been factors. You look on the back end with guys like Calvin Bruton from Florida State, Tobias Moss, South Alabama, in the secondary. And Coach Wilder and I were talking about it the other day. You look at the guys in the secondary, and it's like, holy smokes, you've got all this Power 5 stuff. Caleb Ford Dement is also on those lists, Harold Blackman, and they're all Power 5s that for one reason or another didn't work out at their initial institutions. Boom, now they're here helping the Monarchs, and boy, are they.
Yeah, Ted, I had a question as far as the division of the athletic department. It seems like things are really growing. Obviously, the Tidewater area, great area, the 757. You guys, it seems like there's a lot of buzz with ODU athletics. Is that me, or is that true?
Well, remember, there's no, kind of like Greenville and to a certain extent, there's no pro team in town. The closest pro team is in D.C. or in Charlotte. And so the fans here are looking for something to jump onto. And the Monarchs got off to a fast start when they began football in 2009, best startup program in history. And that's caught on a little bit. And then you have the fact that you go to FBS sooner than you thought, but it was a necessary move at the time, according to those that make those decisions. And then you don't have as much success there, and you say to yourself, and the fan base goes, it's not all fun and games. If there's some hard work involved as well, gosh. And so it's like taking your first punch in a 15-round fight. You have to recover from that and then get back to work, and that's what the Monarchs have done these last couple of years. And obviously how football goes is how the rest of the athletic department goes in terms of lifting all boats. And when your football team's doing well, everybody's smiling. When it's not doing so well, that's really not the case, and you guys certainly know that.
What's the capacity there at your new stadium? And is Saturday a sellout?
At this point, there's still a couple tickets left, 21,944.
Okay.
That's the number.
Okay.
Ted, I had a question as far as I love the Tidewater area. Can you give fans that are heading up there to the games maybe some restaurants, maybe some new stuff? Those of us haven't been to the Tidewater area in a year or two that would people could fans before or after the game they can enjoy.
Well, the nice thing is once you get to your parking spot, you've got a lot of stuff just within walking distance, whether it be a Mexican place or barbecue places or burger places or higher end places. If you're coming for the nights, you stay at the Hilton downtown or the Sheraton downtown or the Marriott in downtown Norfolk. The great thing about the city of Norfolk in the last 5-10 years, they've really done a good job revitalizing the downtown. I was in town for just a little staycation a couple of weeks ago, and my wife and I stayed in a hotel downtown and just walked around all weekend and ate and drank and were merry. And that's the mission there. Really, whatever you're looking for, if you're coming for the entire weekend, you can just park your car once and walk to everything else. If you're coming just for the ball game, you can get pretty darn close to the arena and then have some fun between where you park and the game itself.
Can you give the fans? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to ask about, as far as tickets are concerned, I want to go back to that. How can fans order tickets? I know they probably could get some day of the game, but I know if it's close to a sellout, let's go ahead and give the website where they can go or a number they can call.
Why Not Picks, the letter Y, N-O-T, whynotpicks.com is the official Old Dominion ticket house. Obviously, the secondary markets might have some stuff as well, but we send everybody to whynotpicks.com.
Ted, you were talking about a tremendous dual-threat quarterback, Stone Smart, and JUCO All-American a year ago, 6'4", 220 pounds. Obviously, he brings an awful lot to the table, but talk about the talent around him at the skill positions. I know you had a backup running back really step up and have some nice catches out of the backfield against the Cavs, and then also talk a little bit about the offensive line. And I noticed that 11 sacks were allowed between those two games against Virginia Tech and UVA. Was that more of kind of having a quarterback that was transitioning to playing at this level, or just maybe a combination of the two between the protection and some of that, maybe holding the ball too long?
I think it's a great point you bring up there, because Stone is a guy who really makes plays with his legs, and that's a great thing most of the time. When it's not a great thing is when you're running east and west and trying to see if you can make a play downfield and you get tackled for a loss, for a sack. those types of things. And he's getting better at that. And the offensive line is doing a better job of figuring out what he's good at, what this running game is good at, and giving him some time to get the vertical passing game going. The Monarchs really haven't shown much in terms of taking the top off defensive backfields yet. They're slowly but surely introducing more facets of the offense. But Smart has done a good job in terms of limiting the turnovers for the most part and turning nothing into something sometimes. What he's got to learn, though, it's a development process on when to just throw it in the seats and live to fight another down.
And also, Ted, I want to ask you, before we let you go, how can folks listen to the game, get your perspective on Saturday night? Love to give fans and maybe some ODU fans that are listening to the podcast.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity for the plug. We'll be on the ODU Sports Radio Network, which spans from here in Hampton Roads to Richmond to Lynchburg. Here in Hampton Roads, if they're coming to the game, we're on ESPN Radio 94.1. Or if you need to stream it, that's fine. You can get it off the ODU Athletics app or at ESPNRadio941.com.
All right, and is there anywhere on social media like Twitter that people can follow you?
So ODU Football is the place to follow the football program. Ted Alexander ODU is my Twitter handle, and we'll be doing stuff before, during, and after the game, and we look forward to a lot of fun. I mean, this needs to become a really good rivalry. We don't have a lot of in our respective conferences. There aren't a lot of next-door neighbors that you can sit there and get bragging rights with and look across the street and say, we're better than you, and fly your flags and have your puffy moments and your sorry moments and those types of things. And that's one of the things that I think makes college athletics wonderful, when you can sit there and beat a good foe and talk about it and squawk about it and then lose to a classy foe and take it like a man and like a good competitor. And that's what we need between the Monarchs and the Pirates.
Well, we're going to have the Director of Athletics on, John Gilbert, in a couple weeks in the bye week, and we'll definitely make sure that all of us on the podcast are scheduling nerds, so we'll definitely put in your plug for ODU, which we're in firm agreement on, and we'll let him know. And thank you so much for spending time with us. I know you're getting ready for your broadcast this week, and look forward to a good game on Saturday night.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys, and always fun to connect with Pirate Nation. You guys are a wonderful fan base that we only aspire to, and I hope that folks in your neck of the woods realize, you're turning the battleship around. It takes some time, but when you take your time, you do it right, and we know the Pirates will do just that.
Absolutely.
That's what we hope so. All right. Thank you so much, Ted. Appreciate you very much.
Take care, guys.
All right. See you. All right. Bye-bye. Wow, what a great guy. I liked him a lot. He was a lot of nice things to say about Pirate Nation, Kyle, and I love Old Dominion. I hope that we keep them on the schedule. I really like what he was talking about, the rivalry. It's a very short drive. I love what they've been doing with the program, and only a decade, and they've had a ton of success. So
I don't love them. You said you love them. I won't go that far. I do respect what they've been able to do, and I do enjoy playing them. I remember when Conference USA was expanding and we were still stuck in the league, or it looked like we were going to be. I remember being way more supportive of their addition than Charlotte. And, ODU's.
And they've had more success.
Yeah, and ODU gets great fan support, too. That's something else. They packed the stadium. I was kind of surprised when they built their new stadium that they only expanded it to around 22,000 because they get good fan support. Bubba, welcome back.
Yeah, and as far as that fan support with the ODU, that's something that's really stood out because, the program's had a lot of success, but even back when that program started, I guess it was 2008 or 2009, somewhere in there, and they were playing the likes of Chowan and programs such as that, and they were still packing what was then Foreman Field and now SB Ballard Stadium, so kudos to them because that's something you guys referenced Charlotte. I mean, they've had decent crowds, but nothing remotely close to Old Dominion. So, hats off to the Monarch fan base for filling that stadium game in, game out.
No, yeah, they've done a great job building the program, and it's hard to believe. Actually, when I think about it, it seems like it's been longer than that they've had their program, but it hasn't. It's just when you think back 2008, 2009, it's hard to believe that's been 10, 11 years ago. So I guess that's right. That's if you'd have asked me, Bubba, if you'd have said when did ODU start their program, I would have said 04, 05. Because it does seem longer than that.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit longer.
But when you think about it, when you say 08, 09, you think, oh, that was 5 years ago. No, 10, 11 years ago. I mean, we've had 3 head coaches since then. Think about that. Think about it. Bobby Wilder's built that program, been there the whole time. Skip Holtz was the head coach when Bobby Wilder became the head coach at ODU, and we've counted Skip 4 coaches.
Yep. Something else is interesting as far as you're talking about their stadium seating right there at 22,000 or so. I saw Stephen Igo put it out today being Wednesday, that some fan asked him if he had any idea how many fans would be taking to Old Dominion this weekend, and he heard that we had sold around 500 tickets through ECU. Now, I do not know how many we were allotted or requested, because that sometimes it can, when you have a smaller stadium like that, you may demand X amount, and where it's the same as what they would get if they were coming to Greenville, or it may be a percentage where we were getting several hundred or a couple thousand less. But whatever the case is, that's surprising that we only sold about 500, depending on what we were allotted. And he said we're expecting to have right around 1,000 there. So
yeah,
given the proximity, that was somewhat surprising.
We'll have more than 1,000 there. I would imagine secondary market, people going with friends. So many Pirates live in the Hampton Road, Tidewater area. There's going to be a lot of, hey, my buddy from work is an ODU season ticket holder, has tickets to the game. I'm going with him, support the Pirates. You'll have a lot of people that go buy it from StubHub because their stadium is small. A lot of the good seats are on the secondary market. So I would imagine, I would be shocked if we didn't at least have 2,000 Pirates there.
Have you guys talked about the depth chart at all?
We haven't. Me and Dave don't do things like that. We don't ever have it in front of us like you do, Bubba. So I don't. Yeah, I don't currently have it in front of me, but I glanced at it yesterday when it came out, and our depth chart. Yeah, I could have.
Our depth chart. Just obviously, Husan Howe's no longer in the mix, so there were 3 oars there with the 4 running backs.
Yeah.
On the depth chart, but now
and that goes back to me saying I don't understand why the hell he's transferring.
Right, because he's still right there vying for that top spot. But whatever the case, I mean, you have Trace Christian, and then Tay Williams, and then also of course Demetrius Mooney, and those 3 guys are duking it out in practice this week for that top spot, and I would be surprised if all 3 don't play at some point. And then you also had. We talked a lot about Audie Omatosho and hoping to see him emerge as a deep threat, the deep threat we so desperately need. And he's an oar on the depth chart this week with C.J. Johnson. So look for Audie Omatosho to hopefully get increased reps and increased targets this week against the Monarchs.
He was an oar last week too.
Okay.
And didn't really see a lot of playing time. So
gotcha. I missed that last week.
Yeah, I hope he. I'd love to see him and CJ both on the field at the same time. I mean, we've got to get a deep threat in a vertical pass. In fact, to me, the way Old Dominion's played against the run, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to run it on them. But the way they statistically played against the run, I mean, what do they hold UVA to under 100 yards rushing? Yeah,
and through 3 ball games, you of course had Norfolk State in the opener, but then you've been on the road at Virginia Tech and at UVA, and they're allowing 89.7 yards per game and just 2.7 yards per carry. So we have our work cut. We have our work cut out, to say the least.
We're gonna have to be able to throw the ball, and we're gonna have to throw the ball downfield. I mean, and if I see that and I'm Blackwell and I know my defense is pretty stout against the run, I make East Carolina beat us throwing the ball. If I'm Old Dominion, I'm Blackwell. I'm crowding the box and saying, all right, you're gonna have to beat us throwing the ball. And Holton so far has not shown he can do it. I think he has that ability, but he hasn't showed it this year. So we'll be interested to see if he can do that this week, because I think he's going to have to if we're going to be successful.
Yeah, and the way our receivers have been unable to get separation, the way we've been unable to protect, like last week, allowing 3 sacks, although 1 or 2 of those may have been on Holton for holding it a little too long and not pulling it down and taking all 4, throwing it away. But the pass protection certainly hasn't been as good as it needs to be, and those 2 factors combined, it'll be interesting to see how Coach Blackwell goes about things and how much press coverage we see this week.
Yeah, and the flip things on the other side, ODU hasn't been lighting it up on the scoreboard. They put up 17 against UVA and Virginia Tech, and they put up, what was it, 24 against Norfolk State?
Yeah,
so,
they led in that ball game, I think 16-7, and then Norfolk State went on a run, and they led late 21-16 after a couple of unanswered touchdowns, and then Old Dominion scored with right around 3 minutes left and won 24-21.
Yeah. So, I mean, Old Dominion hasn't been lighting it up on the scoreboard either. It could be a very low-scoring game. I'm telling you, it could be a 21-17 type ball game. Special teams could be key. If we're able to shut them down and they're able to shut us down, it could be another Jake Verity game. So special teams could be key in this one.
Yeah, and as far as converting in the red zone, that's something. It was 1 out of 5 as far as scoring touchdowns against William & Mary. You can toss one of those out because that's when we took a knee. But even at 1 for 4, that's obviously not good. And then you look at it for the season. I'm trying to remember.
You could say 2 for 5. I would look at it another way. I'd say 2 for 5.
2 for 5. Yeah. And then I think for the season we're something like 8 out of 18. Yeah, so we're scoring touchdowns less than 50% of the time we're in the red zone. So that's something that's going to have to improve to take some of the stress off our defense for sure. And speaking of defense, this is not too surprising because after starting the first couple of games at corner, he played sparingly, if at all, in the last couple of games, but Mike Witherspoon is not on the 2 deep. So 3 out of our 4 corners on the 2 deep, with the exception of Colby Gore, who's, of course, a senior. The other 3 are freshmen. And 2 of those are, in fact, true freshmen, in McMillan and then Malik Fleming. Or maybe Malik Fleming's a redshirt freshman. But nonetheless, we're extremely young in the secondary, so it'll be interesting to see if they take some shots this week with Stone Smart, the very talented dual threat quarterback of ODU.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of really good passing teams, to be honest. William & Mary was a run first team. NC State likes to throw the ball, but, I mean, they were playing a freshman quarterback. It was also dual threat. Navy obviously doesn't throw it. Gardner Webb, Jesus. So that'll be interesting to see. There's good and bad things about playing those young guys in the secondary. Bad thing is they're young. The good thing is they won't be young forever. So it's getting plenty of experience now. A couple of years from now, we'll probably have a very experienced, very good secondary.
No doubt about it. Something else, Dave, I'm sure you may have wanted to talk about is the basketball schedule. The conference schedule was released, so the basketball schedule has been finalized. Of course, season tickets have been on sale for at least a week or 2 now. So taking a look at the basketball schedule, we do have 13 non-conference games, 31 games total on the schedule. Of those conference games, and the conference opener will be on New Year's Day of 2020, and we'll be traveling out to Wichita to take on the Shockers and Greg Marshall, 3 p.m. tip-off on ESPNU. And then after that, we'll have 3 straight home games, so that'll be nice to hopefully get off to a good start in conference play with those. Something else that jumped off the schedule about me, this is about the non-conference games especially. I didn't notice the tip times for the conference weekend games, but those non-conference games against the likes of Liberty, Campbell, Charlotte, and Eastern Kentucky, 4 games that are being played either on Saturday or Sunday, all of those are 4 p.m. tip-offs. So for out-of-towners like myself who would be traveling 3+ hours, and that's great because you can leave at 10 a.m. and still get there, eat lunch, go to the ball game, and then get home by 9:30, 10 o'clock without having to be out to midnight. So I love those 4 p.m. tip-offs.
Yeah, no, that's good. I don't know what draws best. for basketball if it's on the weekend, if it's a mid-afternoon tip or a night game or what. But for somebody like you, yeah, that certainly beats an early game or night game, I guess. It's kind of perfect. You don't have to get up the first thing in the morning and leave, and you don't have to get home at midnight. So.
And as far as the television coverage, we're going to have at least 7, maybe 8 games on either ESPNU and I think 1 on ESPN2, and we'll have 7 on ESPN3, and then we'll have 3 on CBS Sports Network. So there's a little about the exposure.
And that's the conference games, and of course all home games should be on for non-conference should be on ESPN3, and next year that'll be changing to ESPN Plus, Bubba.
Right. So, and then the conference tournament this year, it's being played out in Fort Worth on March 12th through the 15th. So, well, of course SMU's in Dallas and
right.
TCU's in Fort Worth. But yes, I'm sure I feel certain, obviously, that SMU's the host school for that.
Right. Well, it wouldn't be TCU.
No,
well, obviously.
The Conference USA, but not. Yeah, I want to mention, too, that basically what we got to do just comes down to winning ball games. So just winning ball games with the non-conference schedule. By the way, guys, got to give some
good insight, Dave.
What's that?
That's good insight.
Yeah, they basically what I'm getting at is the non-conference schedule that we've got to win most of those games. The volleyball team, 11-1. I think is that the best start ever for the volleyball team?
It is.
Bubba?
It is.
And they have a big game against Campbell tonight as we're recording at 7:00. So they have a chance to go 12-1, and that's exactly what you need to do. Is they have one more. They start their conference schedule, I believe, on Friday night.
Keep in mind, if you go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say that that's what we need to do. Is we had a chance last year. If Sean Williams hadn't had the suspensions for obvious reasons, we could have done better, I believe, in the non-conference. But with the schedule we have,
but keep in mind, even though the non-conference schedule is, really not very strong, and we are a very talented team now.
Right.
These guys haven't played together, so there's going to be some finding out who goes where, who needs to start, who needs to come off the bench. Playing with the lineup. There's going to be a couple games that we probably shouldn't lose just because we're messing with things, because this is a brand new team basically. So don't be surprised if there's not 1 or 2 games in that non-conference schedule that you shake your head at. Who do we open up with, guys? What is our first
VMI?
Game?
Yeah, we open up with VMI on November 5th, and that's a Tuesday night, and that is of course in Minges, and then that Friday, November the 8th, Veterans Day, we'll be taking on Navy in the Veterans Classic at 8:30 up in Annapolis, and Auburn and Davidson will also be playing the earlier game, which is I'm assuming at 6 p.m.
Well, Veterans Day is always November 11th, so.
Well, I said Veterans Day, but it's a Veterans Classic.
Yeah, it's a Friday. It's like on the 8th, I think, something like that.
Right.
And then Monday's Veterans Day. We
play Navy, and then in to wrap up the non-conference schedule of note, that the tournament in was Bahamas. Where's the tournament?
Yeah, it's in the Bahamas, and it's actually the weekend.
They're going to be to play that damn thing?
Yes, they are, because the area people don't realize there's 100 islands in the Bahamas, and Nassau, that area was not affected at all by like our crews that are still on. Folks that you can join, by the way, you can. We'll talk more about that. We'll get Dana on again soon to do like a reboot for it.
Right.
People are nervous about that, about going on the cruise next year to Nassau, but there's nothing wrong with Nassau, and the tournament will be perfectly fine.
And that's got some quality opponents in that tournament. We got Evansville. Potentially, depending on who wins and who loses, we can be playing GW, right?
Yeah, George Washington out of the A-10, and then there's also a chance of playing Liberty again, which is one of our 2 marquee non-conference home games. Liberty, of course, last year won a first-round game against Mississippi State and made it to the round of 32, and then we also have Charlotte at home.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, you guys want to give your scores here for the?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to wrap it up as I'm walking to the church. So basically,
right.
I'm going to go. I think it's going to be. I know Kyle said you think it's a low scoring game. I'm going to go. Let's see. I'm going to go East Carolina 21, Old Dominion 17.
All right, I'll take it. I hate to do it, but I have to give my honest opinion. I'm going to go Old Dominion 24, East Carolina 17, and I hope Dave's right and I'm wrong.
Bubba, what do you think?
I'm going to go Old Dominion. Let's see. I was going to go with Kyle's score, but I'll switch it up and let's go with Old Dominion 23 and East Carolina 13.
Oh, well, only 13 points. Well, that makes sense. Going by the past so far, the number of games we played, they're not scoring. If you take away the Gardner-Webb game, like you said, Bubba, they're not scoring points. So that might be correct. We'll see. I'm just hoping for to see a little bit more offense. And who knows, there might be a pick six or defense has played a little bit better. So that's what I'm going with. Is maybe this is the game that they finally. That's what I'm hoping for. They break it out. I know that we could lose this game, as I was saying in the Copp interview, that it'll be this is the first game, Bubba, that it'll be where we're evenly matched. I really believe this is a rubber match kind of game where anything can happen. It can go either way as far as talent is concerned and everything. Both coaches are good coaches. Coaching staffs, obviously, we have respect for Derek Riley, the safeties coach, and of course David Blackwell in defense. And I think Bobby Wilder's done a nice job of, maybe you could say, revamping the program. So we'll
Absolutely.
see how that.
We need the defense to give us a couple of extra possessions, maybe some short fields, and then also maybe the special teams can give us some.
Right, and maybe some more. It might be even if it's a Jake Verity show again, and we win the game, I don't care. I'll take it.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, as we wrap it up, the line right now is going all over the place. Right now, most places have the line at Old Dominion by 3. Some places ODU by 2.5. But it's fluctuated. As high as 3, as low as us being favored by 1.5. So.
All right, it'll be interesting to see. Appreciate that very much. And Bubba, I know before we go, we got some quick programming notes. Maybe you want to mention that for this weekend for our playback.
Yeah, this weekend for our Pirate football playback, we'll be catching up with former East Carolina nose guard from the early 90s, 91 and 92, Zion Kumalai, and we'll get his thoughts on the game between the Pirates and the Monarchs.
And I know for our preview, which is going to be a quick turnaround for next Tuesday, we'll have Stephen Igo from Voice to Colors. Appreciate him very much. He'll be on our Tuesday show as well. All right, guys, appreciate you very much, and we'll see how things go. We'll see you in a few days, folks, as we'll have all the latest on that. Check out, of course, you can always check out our practice report and post-game.
Yeah, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and go join the Pirates Cove on Facebook.
All right, for Bubba Rosenbaum and Kyle from LaGrange Barber, I am Dave Richmond for the Sports Objective Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sports Objective Podcast. Join us next time as the guys will be objective, and the objective is sports.